Hi, everybody. Good evening. We are back here tonight for our group discovery, or group discussion, however you want to call it. Very, very exciting, walking into awesomeness. We are up to chapter 4. Chapter 4 is personally one of my favorite parts of the book because labels, if you only take one thing out of the entire book and you take this home, to me, this is the thing that like comes up all the time, and it's so useful. The words we use to describe ourselves are like labels that we wear around our necks. Some of them literally weigh us down. They make us feel, they pull us down. They make us feel de-energized, disenergized, disempowered. And some of them literally energize us. They refresh, they recharge, they uplift, they elevate us to a higher state of being. Now, the interesting thing about labels is that every single one of us wears labels. Every single one of us has words that we use to describe ourselves. It's just that we're not aware of that process. And imagine if you went to your closet every single day and you just put on whatever was there, like without any thought, summer, winter, spring, fall, in season, out of season. Imagine if you just got dressed and you never gave it 1 inch of thought. It would be so liberating, right? But we do give it thought because we want to choose, because that choice is meaningful to us, because with that choice, we express our desire, our will, our personalities, our tastes, our moods, our interests. With that choice, we express almost who we are. And it makes a very big difference. So we want to make that choice. The words that we use to describe ourselves have a much, much bigger impact on our day. And if we're not aware of that process, then it's as if we kind of are just wearing what we wore, what anyone hands us. In other words, either we are choosing it, or by default, we're wearing what other people give us, what our childhood has given us, what society gives us, what the rules around us are in the environment that we're in. So it's so important to make that choice and to decide, how do I want to see myself? When I was a kid, if somebody asked you, and even in my adulthood, if somebody said, who do you think you are? That was not a question that was meant to be answered. That was a question that was kind of made, said to make you feel bad. Like, who do you think you are? Don't think you're so important. Don't think you're so special. Don't think you're so anything good, right? Who do you think you are to be having a good life? Who do you think you are to love, to enjoy, to connect, to really have a meaningful relationship? Who do you think you are to have happiness? A lot of us have that refrain in our mind, but who we think we are is a question that we want to answer consciously, mindfully, intentionally, every single day. Because who we think we are is how we position ourselves in our relationships, in our experiences, in every single, if we position ourselves as a loser, we then experience losing. And when we position ourselves as a winner, we experience strength and success and empowerment. One of the big words that I don't think is included in the book in this chapter, but I think it's such an important word, not so much a word, but a concept. And when we think of the words that we use to describe ourselves, we kind of think of words like lazy, talented, messy, impulsive, happy, positive, makes a good impression, all these are words like descriptive labels that we wear. But there's something else that is a big word, and that is power. In every relationship, every person has power. And we have a contract with ourselves, how much power we have, how much power we give to other people. Okay, many times, because in our childhood, we did not feel our personal power of choice. And maybe in our environment, for whatever reason, we did not own that power of choice. We did not own that power to make decisions, to lead in our lives, to decide how we want to be, to write our own rules, even to write our own self-definitions. If we didn't feel that we have that power, we might still not feel like we have that power. We might be subconsciously giving it to other people. So today's worksheets, what we're going to do is we're going to be reflecting on the words that we use to describe ourselves. And we're going to try to gain awareness of what those words are, because there are always words, and different situations trigger different labels. Different types of experiences trigger different words that we use to describe ourselves, and they all matter and they're all important. But one thing that's not included in the worksheets, and it's, I think, important to consider as you're considering labels, is how empowered do I feel? And especially in terms of other people, or especially in terms of my life circumstances and the situation I'm currently dealing with. I want to share one experience that somebody shared with me this morning. She said that she's been trying to implement this work in her parenting. And she had two experiences recently that over the last few weeks, 6 weeks, I will say, that really made a huge difference. In one of them, she said, one of her daughters is very, in her words, she said, messy, scatterbrained, impulsive, not put together. And she realized through doing this work how important labels were, not just for her daughter, but also for herself, because she's the mother, and that her way of thinking about her daughter was perpetuating behavior that was associated with that label. So she decided to switch her mind about her daughter, and instead of thinking about her as scatterbrained, to think about her as creative and organized and responsible. And that's all she did. She didn't tell her daughter anything. It was a shift in her mindset. My daughter is not scatterbrained. My daughter is organized, responsible, put together, careful, thoughtful, mindful. And she said over a few weeks, there was a huge shift. She noticed when her daughter started putting things back where she took them. She noticed her daughter organizing her briefcase without being told, and being proud of that briefcase being neat. And of course, she was able to share that feedback with her daughter. And at one point, her daughter said, "I'm so messy." And her mother was right away able to correct her and say, "You're not messy. That briefcase is a mess." And this has brought a tremendous shift in her parenting. And I'm sure that this makes a very big difference to this girl's life. And she said she had a similar experience with her son, who's very spirited and wild and energetic. And she said the new word that she uses for her son is energetic. And that has also shifted, taken a lot of the negativity out of her relationship and just injected a lot of wonderful, warm, happy energy into her house. So thank you, Toby, for sharing that. That was really, really great. I'm gonna do the first worksheet here together, and then we'll go into breakout rooms and for a couple of minutes and see how that goes, okay? So the worksheet number one is just very, very simple. It says on the top of the page, the words we use to describe ourselves are like labels that we wear around our necks. What are some of the words I use to describe myself? If you could think of the first 3 words that come to your mind when you are asked to describe yourself, what are the first 3 words that come to your mind? And the second question is, what are some of the words that other people in my life might use to describe me? And I love these 2 questions right near each other, because sometimes they might be the same and sometimes they might be different. And it's interesting that what we think of ourselves might be different than what other people think about us. But all these words are really in our own mind. So they're really all about ourselves. They're really only about ourselves. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna have everybody who's on the phone or on Zoom, you're going to be automatically assigned to a small room with about 8 to 10 people will be in each room. And it might be a little strange because it's the first time we did this, and you're gonna be in a quote unquote room with people you do not know. I'm gonna ask if every room could please, if one person in every room could be a self-appointed group leader and share a personal experience related to our topic of today, or go through the worksheet number 1 or continue with worksheet number 2. And we're going to do it just because it's our first time. We're going to do it today just for 10 minutes, and then we'll reconvene. And I'm going to ask one person from every group to share something meaningful, on behalf of the group, but it could be anonymously. So that's how we will protect people's privacy and at the same time have a lot of good sharing with Hashem's help. Even just asking yourself these questions makes a huge difference. The power of a label is immense. It literally pulls us down, and it literally can uplift us or elevate us. But the power is only there so long as we are not aware. Oh, that rhymes. The power is only there as long as we are not aware. The minute we are aware of a label that we're wearing, it's not a label, it's a choice. It's not something that's pushing us or pulling us. It's something that's, oh, this is a thought in my mind. I have a choice about it. I can let it go, or I can wear it with dignity and continue, let it carrying me. But until we're aware of it, it literally has so much control over us. It could, for example, if I believe that I am small, that I am weak, that I am helpless, I will just mindlessly obey somebody else's rules. I will feel like I have to do what they're suggesting, what they're telling me to do. But the minute I become aware, hey, I'm actually not helpless here. I do have a choice. I am empowered to take charge of my behavior. Just because someone is saying this doesn't mean I have to do it. I'm just saying this based on a conversation that I had with somebody today. But you get the idea. Labels are so powerful, but the minute we have awareness of them, they no longer have the power. We have the power. We can choose. Okay, there was somebody before who wanted to ask a question. Go ahead, because we could hear you. It's a great question. I want to repeat it for the recording. Let's say someone is asking that my challenge with labels is that when people give me compliments, I resist it. I feel that they are not true. My automatic response to compliments is that I tell myself reasons why they're not true. And I could very much relate to this question and to this, to this experience. I'll never forget, I was in England 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago. And I met a woman, details aren't so relevant. My point is that she is an incredibly gifted, special, wonderful, giving person on so many levels. And at one point, I turned to her and I said, wow, you're amazing. And she looked at me without batting an eyelash. And she said, yeah, I am. Thank you, Baruch Hashem. And so are you. But there was no energy around her statement. It was like, you're amazing. I know. Baruch Hashem, thank you. And aren't we all, or so are you. It was just so natural. And I was amazed by that, because for me, up until that point, and this was after I wrote the book, to be honest, whenever somebody would say, you're amazing, what would automatically come up in my mind was 101 reasons why I am not amazing. If someone said, wow, this is great, 210 reasons why I am why it's not as good as it should be, and I think that, that has changed since that moment. Since I realized that, my reaction, my response has shifted so tremendously, because I know, my Yetzer Hara, that inner force of distraction and delusion, is going to reject any compliment. It's going to tell me why that is not true. But all of the things, the reasons why it's not true that I'm wonderful or amazing or special, really, if you think about it, we're all special, we're all awesome, we're all amazing, not because of anything that we did, but because of all that we are. We're carriers of Hashem's light. Of course we're amazing. We're nothing less, not 1 inch less. Now, all those things, the reasons why I thought were reasons why I'm not amazing, if you think about it again and look at that list again, look at each thing on the list, they're all things that I want to do. They're all room, they're all space where I can grow. None of it is who I am. And so to bring this back to your question, if a workmate says, you're amazing, you know what? Sometimes the resistance is just because that's how we're used to it. We have this inner force of distraction or delusion known as our Yetzer Hara that just doesn't know how to accept the awesomeness of who we are. But let's put that aside for a second and just talk about it from a different angle. Sometimes the compliment, you are amazing, could be pressuring. Because if someone says, you're amazing, that might make me feel like now I need to be amazing. Now I need to show up because I don't want to disappoint her. I'll never forget many years ago, I met somebody who I respected very much. And the first thing she said to me right in the first few minutes of our conversation was, she said, I read so many of your writings. I used to write in a newsletter at the time. I read so many of your writings and I agree with every single thing you say. And I really like you. And the first thing that came to my head was, uh-oh. I was worried. It made me worried. She was trying to make me feel good. She was trying to make me feel compliment, but I was worried because she said, I agree with every single thing you say and I like you. And I thought, hey, tomorrow I might say something that she doesn't agree with, and then she's not going to like me. So sometimes somebody's compliment it feels like it's a pressure because I only like you because you bake these amazing cakes. I only like you because you bring me lunch every single day. Thank you for bringing me lunch every single day. It's so special. I really like you because of it. Well, then what if I don't bring you lunch? Does that mean you don't like me? So that sometimes giving us compliments for our goodness could make us feel a little bit insecure, could make us feel that love and that compliment, the validation is limited to the things that we do. And it's really not about who we are. And we're worried. It makes us feel insecure because like I got it, it might be taken away. And that fall is really not good. I hate when people put me on a pedestal in the same way as I hate when they put me in the dumps. Nobody likes to be looked down upon, but I think none of us like to be put on a pedestal because we know we don't belong there. In my mind, the visual that I like to imagine is a straight, clear path where we are walking side by side, where we're all equal in the sense that we're all equally loved and valued. There's no such thing as a better Jew or worse Jew, in the same sense that there's no such thing as somebody who is, more alive or less alive. Yes, there is a thing of illness, but I was going to say pregnant, expecting, right? You can't be, you either are or you aren't carrying a child within you. Okay. It's not like you're more or less. We're walking side by side. And at times there's a voice inside of our health, of our minds and our hearts, our Yetzer Hara, that inner force of distraction and delusion, that voice that has been built on years of toxicity and shame and blame and negativity and all our mistakes and failures and all that stuff that we held on to, we believed in, we gave it power, and now it has energy in our psyche. It's there. It's alive and well and ready to be unleashed whenever we press the play button. Okay, so we have that within us, and then there's also society. And there's people in our lives that give us constantly new streams of information that could label us, that we absorb. Some of us are more sensitive. I know that I am more, I'm quite sensitive and I'll naturally absorb people's judgments and criticism and compliments and validation, all of that stuff. So we naturally absorb that. So these words that get triggered, we're on that, we're on that firm ground. And sometimes something that someone says makes us trip and fall into a pit. We feel less than ourselves. We have less energy. We feel disempowered. We don't own our power of choice. We feel helpless. We feel stuck. We feel ashamed, inadequate, incapable, not good enough. And we're lower than ourselves. And in a certain sense, we feel lower than other people because if we're not owning our power, we feel that the other people in our lives have the power. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we get depressed. Sometimes we get lethargic. Sometimes we have no emotional energy. We feel like we're finished. We're at the end of our rope. And sometimes we get propelled into like a high-rise tower where maybe we look at other people, chas v'shalom, with a little bit of contempt, and we're judging other people, and we're talking about other people. Subconsciously, we know like, okay, I know I'm never going to be good to my standard, but at least I'm better than that person. So that makes me feel good. And that's also not healthy. That's also not where we want. We don't want to be better than ourselves or better than other people. In that high rise, sometimes we beat ourselves up because we have this ideal version of who we're supposed to be, and it doesn't match up to who we actually are. And so we hate ourselves and we beat ourselves up for not matching up to our ideal version of ourselves, which is usually not realistic. We have rules that are not even possible to succeed by. Like, I'm supposed to meet everybody's needs. I'm supposed to make everybody happy. I'm supposed to never get tired. I'm supposed to never be drained. All these rules are like what I call the high-rise tower. So where we want to try to be is whenever you feel that you're absorbing a label from somebody else, and going back to this question of getting a compliment that's maybe insincere, maybe it's unrealistic, maybe it's actually an expectation, maybe it's subconsciously manipulative, getting you to try to do something that is actually amazing and that you don't want to have to feel pressure to do every single day. So with that, what you want to do, what I try to do, is take a deep breath and come back to my solid, firm ground, out of the high, down from that high pit, that pedestal where I flew or where somebody placed me, down back onto the ground, or up from the pit, right back onto firm, solid ground, because that's where we want to be. I am no better than anyone else, and nobody is better than me. We are sisters. We're walking side by side towards Geula. We're trying to get conscious of Hashem, of our neshama, of our unity, of our oneness, and of our shared purpose. And anything that gets in the way of that, there will be many things that get in the way of that. But a sincere compliment is also nice to be able, back to the other flip side. Sometimes it's nice to hear to take it in and say thank you, like that lady did, and express that thanks in action by sharing your beauty, by shining, by giving, by being there for other people with your full, beauty shining forth. Someone's writing in the chat here that sometimes it makes me feel as if when someone gives me a compliment, sometimes it makes me feel as if I need to step up the activity just to meet that other person's expectation. It is sometimes uncomfortable. Also, that thinking they may actually find out I'm not as wonderful as all that, and they'll know I am a fake. I very much relate to what you're saying. That's exactly what I was describing, what I felt when that person gave me that compliment, that she loves everything I write because she agrees with it, and therefore she likes me. I felt like, oh my, so tomorrow she's not going to like me, right? So, but what helped me ultimately, when I look back, what might have helped me then and what helped me today is a very strong awareness that just because somebody else thinks it doesn't define my reality. Okay, for those of us who have sponges, that we absorb other people's judgments very easily, and we absorb negative energy, positive energy, we're sensitive to what's going on around us and what other people think of us and what other people's rules are, what I call the subtext of life, the invisible subtext of what people mean when they say certain things. We don't have to read that subtext. We have to just keep coming back to our own rules and our own reality. So yeah, I feel that I need to step up the activity to meet their expectation, but the truth is I don't. They might have their expectation, that belongs in their basket. That's on their to-do list, that inevitably they will be disappointed when they realize that I'm actually human and I might not meet their expectations. And I might not be who they really need me to be, right? But that's not really, I don't have to tell them, oh, I am not who you think I am. I just have to be me. And obviously this, if it comes up in a conversation, you could have, it's a meaningful conversation to have. But I don't think like to make our, it's just good to keep in mind, like, I have to just be me. I don't have to read other people's rules. The question is there a balance between feeling humble and feeling small? And is there a place for feeling small? Or what is the place? What is the truth in feeling small? So I'm so grateful to you for asking this question, because especially the way you asked it with such honesty, from a place of depression, I feel that there is truth to the fact that I feel small. In other words, it's not just that I feel small, I am small. I am weak, I am disempowered. And how does that jive with what we're talking about, that labels that make us feel small and disempowered don't belong to us? So here's the thing. I think people often confuse feeling small with feeling humble. Feeling humble is godly. Feeling humble is holy. Feeling humble means everything that I have is only here because Hashem wants me to have it. And Hashem is blessing me at this moment. It doesn't belong to me. It is here by Hashem, and I am here with Hashem and for Hashem. And I will use my gifts for Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu it says about him that he was the most humble of all men. And yet he was very much aware of his awesomeness and of his greatness. But he knew that everything that he had, that his wisdom was a gift from Hashem. His ability to speak was only because Hashem empowered him to speak. So humble is very much aligned with, that we are designed, defined, empowered by Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by the King of all kings, the Master of the universe. Blessed be He. We are awesome. Okay, that's humble. Feeling small means we wake up in the morning and Hashem says, hey, here's my light. Can you carry it for me today? Can you hold it? Can you let it shine wherever you go, in everything that you do? Can you be my representative? Can you demonstrate that you know me? Can you allow me into your life, into your heart? Can you let me make a difference? Can you go shine? Can you go live? Can you go make meaning out of this day? Can you be a light in this place of darkness? And we're about to say, sure. And we're about to take that light and go run with it. But then our Yetzer Hara comes and whispers in our ear and says, nope, I disagree. I actually think you are small. You see that light, that neshama that you know that you're trying to take ownership of? It's really nothing. It's actually a theory. It's an abstract idea that has no practical relevance. Okay? You are small. You are nothing. You can do nothing. You can make no difference. You're stuck. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares about you. Whatever you say and do matters nothing. Okay, that's my definition of small. And to me, our biggest struggle is right there in the morning when we wake up. In that first few minutes when we wake up, are we going to give credence to Hashem's calling us to be awesome, to live awesome, to shine, to be that light, the carrier of Hashem's light in this world? Or are we going to be small? And are we going to be nothing? Because if we're not godly, we're nothing. We really are. And so to me, being small is the opposite of being humble. There's no balance. It's totally the opposite. Now, sometimes we're feeling small because we had an experience that was a failure. That's going to happen. We're going to feel small. The question is, what are we going to do? Or maybe somebody said something not nice to us, or maybe we're feeling very weak because we look around the world at the chaos, at the insecurity, and maybe that's making us feel small. Maybe we feel hopeless, but for that, we come to groups like this and we talk to people who are doing this kind of work, and we want to say, you know what? I feel so small, but I know that the voice inside my head that tells me that I am small, and that tells me that my smallness is a fact, it's a lie. It's actually a lie. And it's such a good liar that it feels true. but it's a lie. And so what is one thing that I'm going to do to demonstrate, to pop the bubble of the lie? Because you know what? You're going to feel small. And that belief has so much power. It has so much power because it's so real and it comes from such a deep place inside of us. But the minute we take one action, whether it's making a phone call to one person and say, hey, what's up? How's your day going? You're not small if you can make a phone call and reach out to somebody and make a difference to them and make them smile and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. You're not small if you can text that to somebody. You're not small if you could go pick up a book and read, or give $1 to tzedakah, or go join a learning group, or exercise, or do something that's on your wish list of whatever meaningful activities you can do. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be one choice, one moment here and now that proves that, hey, this smallness is a lie. I am a carrier of Hashem's light. And I will prove it by just doing one little thing, by making a bracha on this cup of water. Now this water became holy. Now this water became part of the cosmic geula. It became part of the world that is experiencing Hashem's truth. It's no longer part of the darkness that's hiding Hashem's truth. Someone's asking a question. Let's say someone gives me a compliment and I have resistance to it on an emotional level, but intellectually I know that that compliment actually belongs to me. It's not being given to me as a pressure. It's not being stated as an expectation of something unrealistic. It's not being manipulative. It's a genuine, sincere compliment that I know belongs to me, but emotionally, I feel resistance to that. That is classic. That's what I was talking about, before. That's classic. And I think we could all relate to that too. We have so much resistance to the compliments. Most of the things people tell us, the labels that people tell us, belong to us. Most of them really do belong to us, because the truth is we are amazing. We're wonderful. We're all really, especially in today's world, anybody who is sane is incredible. Okay, it takes a lot of work to be sane, to have a sane moment, to have a sane hour. It's incredible. It's beautiful. So I think the fact that you have that awareness that there's a gap between what you know in your mind and what you feel in your heart, that already is your answer. That already, because the fact that you have awareness means that you can look at that resistance and say, okay, hello, Yetzer Hara. I know you're trying to get in my way, but I know the truth. And I know that this compliment belongs to me. So have a nice day. And then you don't have to overthink it. You could just let it go and say thank you to the person who gave you the compliment. And thank Hashem, say verbally to get into that, to actualize it, to cement your connection with the belief. You say, thank you, Hashem, for giving me this gift of being da-da-da-da-da, whatever it is, of being that good baker. Thank you, Hashem, for the gift of being understanding to these students. Thank you, Hashem, for the gift of being patient with this friend. Whatever that person is complimenting you about, just recognize that the resistance is resistance. It's a lie. It's your inner force of distraction and delusion, and saying thank you, Hashem, for that gift really could help you connect more with that gift. And awareness in this kind of case is everything, because the fact that you have that awareness means that you're not buying into it. You know that the resistance has a word, because before this, you would just feel uncomfortable. When we're aware, we look at our inner resistance to the goodness, to the fact of our goodness, and we feel like the resistance just feels like a temper tantrum inside of us. We just feel uncomfortable. We're like jumping out of our skin. We're just not settled. We don't believe what the person is saying, but we don't know why. Once we can look inside in our heart and mind and say, hey, that's my resistance. There's a part of me that's saying, hey, that's not true, but I know it is true. So that part of me is just an old tape. It's my negativity. It's my tendency to put myself down. and to be not aligned with my truth. And so I want to negate that and say, thank you, Hashem, for the gift of whatever that gift was. I think that could be very helpful. So someone's asking, this is a very good question. Someone's asking, when someone gives me a label and they tell me something about myself that is actually true, let's say I believe it's true, but it's unpleasant and it's something that I'm not proud of, and I don't like when it's thrown in my face. What can I do with that? Because to let go of it and to say it doesn't belong to me is not honest, because in a certain sense, it does belong to me. So I think that with every one of us has weaknesses, and that's a fact. Okay. I am impulsive. Okay. It's a weakness. Okay. But now the weakness is just a fact. And to deal with that fact, I need to learn how to slow down and think before I speak, let's say, right? So there's nothing shameful about that, because that is how Hashem made me. Hashem made me impulsive. Hashem made me, speak quicker than I think. That's how Hashem made me. So there's no shame in that, right? Why am I embarrassed of it? Because I have an ideal version of myself where I say, I am 49 years old. I'm not supposed to be impulsive. I should have gotten this straight by now. What's wrong with me? And that commentary is what gets me down. It's not the fact of my impulsivity. It's the story I make up about my impulsivity that makes me upset. You know what I mean? It's not the fact, it's the feelings and the interpretation of the fact. It's the commentary. It's the fact that, oh, you're not supposed to be impulsive. People who are impulsive are really ugly. Like, it's a really, that's disgusting. That's embarrassing. But that's a lie. That's one thing. And the second thing is that there's something about when somebody gives me a negative label, whether or not it's true, it hurts. Why? Because what is pain? Pain is the loss of something. Okay? Pain is when we lose something. When I look at the people in my life, I want love, I want connection, I want positivity, I want good energy. We want to be validated. We want to be approved of. We want to be respected and taken good care of. We don't want the people in our lives to say mean things to us. We don't want it. It's not nice. So when someone does it, there's one element of like, wait, do I believe it? Then I really suffer, because now I'm like so upset. But even if I don't believe it, sorry, even if I don't believe it, there's an element of pain. There's an element of loss. I wanted validation. I wanted approval. I wanted love. And I didn't get it right now. I got negativity. I got slapped in my face with criticism that was not nice. It was just not loving. So I think we need to give ourselves room and not to feel bad about the fact that we feel bad. Because of course, if somebody, if my teenager or neighbor or anyone, we have so many people in our lives that we're very, very invested in. And I think the older we get, the more we're invested, because the more we care, because the more we've prayed, the more we've davened, the more kaiches emotionally, spiritually, we invested in our relationships. And so the more we care. And so when somebody that we care about, somebody that we're invested in, whether it's a student, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, says something mean, it hurts. It hurts because it hurts. It hurts because we're human. It hurts because we want love. We want there to be, Shevas Achim Gam Yachad. We want Abba V'Achva Shalom V'Reis. That's what we want. And that's what we're striving for. And I think it's okay to feel pain, for that moment, for that hour. And of course, it's not something that's going to hurt for 3 days. Usually it's a comment, it's something we're going to get over within an hour. But I think I always tell this to myself, you can't put it down before you pick it up. I can't put down the emotion before I pick it up. If I tell myself, oh, wow, ouch, that hurt. Oh, I did not like it. I did not want to be thrown cold water. Once I tell that, I'm already, it's like, when a little girl falls and she scrapes her knee, it hurts. So what does a caring mother do? Picks her up and say, oh, I'm so sorry, you have a boo-boo. The mother cannot make the boo-boo go away. The boo-boo's going to be there. But the mother could put a little cream on it, antibiotic cream, and clean it up and put a Band-Aid and hug the girl and wipe away her tears. And I think that we could do that for ourselves. When we get bruised, what used to happen for me is not only did I feel bad, but I'm like, oh, such a baby, you have to feel bad about this. What's wrong with you? Well, you're supposed to be besimcha, you're supposed to be happy, and you don't, anyways, who cares? Like, no, but now I learned that if I tell myself it hurts, and I do what I would do for a 4-year-old girl who scrapes her knee, I do that for myself because I just scraped my heart. And I give myself that hug and that validation. I tell myself it's okay. And I put on that little cream, it's okay. Then that's called picking it up. And then I could put it down. The bruise heals. It's okay. We get over it. But if we shame ourselves, then we never get over it. Someone's sharing that years ago, someone said, you're irrelevant in my life. And years later, it still hurts. Probably because that relationship was that relationship repaired? Sometimes people say things and it really cuts deep, and why would something hurt us so many years later? I think it would hurt us so many years later if there's possibility for change. Yaakov Avinu could never be comforted from his son's passing. He was never comforted. He never felt at peace with his son's passing. And we learned that the reason why he was never comforted was because his son was still alive. So the wound never closed. It was open. He couldn't grieve because there was nothing to grieve over. So maybe the fact that I can't get over that comment means there's room for me to repair the relationship. Could be. But sometimes we could actually look at, I would do the work. I would say, look, if someone told me, for example, you're irrelevant in my life, and I'm thinking about it, it's 10 years later, and it really hurts me. And that person, let's say my relationship with that person is good, it's repaired, it's healthy, it's active, but somehow I never got over it. If it's a safe, healthy relationship, I might want to just bring it up to the person. Remember years ago you said this, and I was just thinking about it the other day. Like, do you still mean it? Because I remember it and it hurt me so much at the time. Do you still mean it? But let's say you don't have that emotional safety, you don't feel comfortable bring it up. I would assume that the person did not mean it. People sometimes say things in their moments of anger or frustration or pain that they really, really do not mean. And if you think of, halachically even, every woman in childbirth promises and swears she will never, 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 never have a baby again. And it's so accepted in halacha that every woman would give a korban after childbirth because of that promise. So halacha tells us that in a moment of pain, we are going to say things that we don't really mean. So I would say that person for sure didn't mean it. The story that we tell ourselves about the comments that other people say, the person for sure didn't mean it. She was in pain. She was angry. She was alone. She was helpless. What she really was saying was, I wish you would give me more of your time and attention. I wish you would make a bigger difference to me. I wish you would get more involved. I wish you would make yourself more relevant. I wish you would insert yourself more into my life. That's what she was really saying. And you know what? I tried and I did. In other words, you could rewrite the story. But I think that most people in their younger years say things that they don't mean. And we can look at ourselves and say, I don't remember everything that I said, but I am sure, if Torah says that a woman in childbirth will promise that she's never going to have a baby again, we all had moments when we were birthing pain, or birthing new realities in our lives, or going through different situations. And we all said, I hate you. I will never do that. We said things, and we probably don't. I don't remember all the things I said, but I'm sure I didn't mean it. Of course, if it's a relationship that there's emotional safety, it's a good idea to go back and to that person and say, I was this popped into my head, I had this memory of that argument that we had, and you said this. I'm just curious, Baruch Hashem, I feel like we've come a long way. I'm just checking in with you. Do you feel about that? Do you feel the same way about it? Like that we've come a long way and that's not true anymore? And I think that's to have an actual conversation is a good idea. But if it's not possible for whatever reason, then to do the conversation in our heads is for sure very, very helpful. The pain of people being mean is one part. Our commentary on it is what we can do. So we can change our commentary, the story that we tell ourselves about other people's comments and about their meaning and their reflection on our truth. That's where we could work. But the pain of someone saying something, that's just pain. We have to deal with it. That example that you shared, I want to say it quickly. Someone shared here in our group that they went to a school event and the principal greeted somebody else, the person in front of her, the person behind her, and the principal totally ignored her, did not give her a warm greeting, and was cold, and that she went home, and it didn't bother her because she decided that the principal was busy and distracted, and that was it. And what I wanted to share about that story, and that's such a good example for exactly what you're saying, is because what helped her not be upset is the story that she wrote about it. You see, when you say the story, she could have said, the principal ignored me, she invalidated me, she disrespected me, she passed me right over, she put me down in front of other people, she made me into a nothing. She said none of that, because all of that is commentary. What the principal actually did was she did not give her a warm greeting. That was it. That was the fact. So separate the facts from the perceptions. Separate the facts from the story that you're writing in your head. And when you have the facts sometimes don't have to create such negative emotion. They're just facts. Okay, so she was distracted. It was a different story. She passed me over. Okay, so what happened? So nothing happened. What you're saying is a good point. Let me repeat this question. It seems as if when someone is, quote unquote, in a good place, when they believe that they're worthy, they have an easier time letting go of the negativity and not absorbing other people's behavior as rejections of themselves. Whereas if a person has more pain in their heart, then they're more likely to experience other people's behavior as personal rejection. And a true statement. At the same time, it seems imbalanced. Some people, it seems like happiness creates happiness. Worthiness creates worthiness. Whereas if I feel pained and I feel already rejected by my life experiences, then I am going to naturally interpret my life experiences that are happening right now as further rejections. And that is true. I want to just make something very, very clear, that we are here in this world for a purpose that Hashem makes very clear to us. Okay, the purpose is to demonstrate awareness of Hashem. That's it. To demonstrate our awareness, to make Hashem the king. When Hashem, we daven on Rosh Hashanah, the epitome of the Musaf davening that we're davening for is Malach ala olam kulei b'chvardecha. Hashem, be the king already over the whole world. Okay, take our work that we did throughout these years of Gullus and complete it. Bring us to the finish line so that we can celebrate with you, so that we have we're in a state of Geula together, reunited, in basking in Hashem's revealed presence. That's the goal. Okay. From the perspective of that being the goal, every challenge, every moment where we have the experience, where we have the opportunity, where we have the need. If somebody just gave me a negative label, okay, I can look at it as, oh no, another obstacle in my path, another pit in my road. Why does this always happen to me? So bad, another perpetuation of the pain that I constantly experience. And you know what? Nobody here on this call would tell me that I'm wrong for saying that, because it's true. Okay, it's valid. I am perfectly, quote unquote, entitled to be miserable about the fact that I have another bump in my road right now. Okay, I'm perfectly entitled to that. And if we want to do that, we can do that. Okay. At the same time, we have a whole different way of looking at it, and that's really what this work is about. Because instead of looking at it as poor me, we can look at it as it's an opportunity for me. Okay, this moment, everything that happened in my life until now was there for my good and for my growth, though I may not understand it, though I may not see it, though I may not love it right now. If we believe in God, if we believe in Hashem and that He is true and He is the exclusive power in this world, then anything that happened in my life was orchestrated perfectly by Him for my good and for my growth. And it was preparing me for this moment in time so that I will have the opportunity to let His presence make a difference. Now, for me, because I feel like a worm, because I feel like a worthless bug that deserves to be stepped on, that is so pitiful and shameful, in this moment, just the fact that I could pick up my chin and take a step forward and do my day with an ounce of dignity that I'm holding onto by my fingernails, just that, I fulfilled my purpose in this world. I brought Geula into this world. Somebody else who has it easier, right? For somebody else, what I just did might be very easy, and they look at it and they're like, what's the big deal? But for me, that was a very big deal. For me to pick myself up and just get dressed and walk out the door and take a walk in the park, that was hard because I wanted to stay in bed with a pillow over my head. For me to look at this situation where somebody just said something disgusting, and for me to say, okay, I am not taking that in. I am not absorbing this negativity. I am going to let Hashem's truth matter more. I'm going to let my certification of dignity from Hashem matter more. And I'm going to go forward and I'm going to shine and I'm going to go to work and I'm going to get things done. And I'm going to, because that label makes us feel like just stuck, like doing nothing, like freezing, like closing up, not talking to anybody, shutting down. But dignity puts you out there. It energizes you to do something meaningful, productive, even if it's, something small, like getting dressed and going to take a walk around the block. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about. Every single one of us, by virtue of being alive, has a godly calling right now to let Hashem make a difference wherever we're up to, even a little bit of a difference. Let Hashem make a difference. And specifically, today's topic was letting Hashem make a difference to how we see ourselves. Are we going to see ourselves as small, as nothing, as victims of other people's behavior, as victims of our life's circumstances? Or are we going to see ourselves as carriers of Hashem's light, capable of shining, maybe not in the way that somebody else is going to shine, but in our unique way, within the stage that is our life, with the resources that we have, with the money that we have, with the talents that we have, with the physical health or non-health that we have, with the restrictions that are in place that are beyond our capacity to tear down. Okay? We have it in us to shine, to live with dignity. We have it in us. And I think that's what it's about. So whether it's you're gonna do this, or you're gonna do this, we dare not compare what we do to other people, because that's not what it's about. Life is not a race of who could build the biggest tower, or who could get the most money, or who could get the most likes, or who could get the most things done. Life is about serving Hashem, about letting Hashem make a difference in whatever way is relevant here and now. And if we keep that perspective in mind and we don't compare ourselves to other people, then every single one of us can do this, and every single one of us can do it eminently, perfectly, beautifully. I love that question. Someone's asking, do people actually hurt people? Because that's not your experience. And I want to just say, hooray. It's funny because we look at our lives and our experiences and we naturally assume that that's everybody's experiences, but it's really not. Some of us deal with, people who are constantly, throwing mud at us. And some of us have the opposite, where people see us in, put us on pedestals that don't really belong to us either. So I think that most people have the full range, but some people have people who really, really are negative, or people who are in pain in their lives. If a very close family member is in a lot of pain, then we get thrown mud. We get mud. That's just what happens, and it is very hurtful. So Baruch Hashem that's not your challenge, but it is that for a lot of other people. I think we really should stop, because I just wanted to say that I copied. There were some really good questions and comments on the chat, and I just copied it so that I'm gonna pick up, just because it's too late to start with it now, is a good topic here. And we're going to continue, because next week's chapter does continue talking about labels. So that's great, because we get to talk about it for another week. But I love what you said about the work that we're doing here. When I was preparing for tonight, I was thinking, labels. We've been talking about this so many times, so long. It's going to be boring. Nobody's like, what's there, But really, every time I get back into the group, and it feels like we're getting back into the trenches, and we're working through these things together. First of all, it's validating on a very deep level for every person who's part of this group, because the biggest difficulty that we have in overcoming our struggles is the feeling that we are somewhat not good enough because of having the struggles. And just being able to talk about it, it makes it so much more, it just makes it so much easier to work. It makes it so much more it normalizes it, and it really and it just gives us so much strength and encouragement just having it. And I really want to say that it might sound little when somebody shared with me today that she went to a group, and the person told her that one thing that she took home from the group was that she was able to look at herself in the mirror every morning and say, I am Hani and I am awesome. And that when she was repeating this to somebody else, it sounded so small. It sounded so insignificant. It sounded like someone might roll their eyes at it and say, really? You had to go to a group to do that, to learn that? Come on, But you know what? These little things, especially because it's not just about being awesome, it's not just a God called positivity. It's not just the effort to make ourselves feel better. It's actually fulfilling the purpose for which the world was created. It actually is healing the world, because every time we let Hashem make a difference to something that we're experiencing on our personal level, we are literally inviting Geula into the world. And I can't think of anything more meaningful to do right now for the world. We can't fight the wars. We can't change. So much is bigger than us of what's going on. But what we could do is let Hashem make a difference to our personal lives and our personal experiences. And with that, because God is true and the Torah is true, we really are bringing healing and bracha and all the goodness that we can to the world. And I think for me personally, there's nothing more meaningful. So we're going to be back in Mir Hashem next week. I know that there were some questions that were not answered. We'll start off with them next week. And for now, over this week, notice the labels that you're wearing and challenge them. Ask yourself, is that really true? Does that label actually belong to me? And the minute you ask yourself that question, you are already in the position of choice, and that label already has less power over you. And so thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow, whoever's joining for Tanya. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.